Welcome to a video from digitallifestyle.com. In this video, I'm going to look at how easy it is to program the multi-poly directly from the front panel without using the software editor, the Windows and Mac editor. This was a question that a few people have asked me. I prefer to use a combination of the front panel and the software. That's probably the optimum way of working with the synth, but some people don't want to use the software at all and just want to work with the front panel. So that's what I'm going to do on here. So I've got a basic program. I'm going to try and create some sounds, and we'll see how advanced I can get with it. So I'm going to look at the oscillators, the filters, the envelopes, LFOs, and then we'll get into the more advanced stuff using motion sequencer and maybe some mod routing as well, just to see if everything is available on here, or if all the things that you want are available on here without too much menu diving. There is menus on it, but I want to see is how easy is it to play with. So we've got a basic control there. Let's say I just wanted to create a nice warm sort of brass sound. We've already got sawtooths on there, but if we go to oscillator 1, you can see we've got oscillator 1 there. If we wanted to change that waveform, you can pick your waveforms that you want to pick. So my favorite is the detune saw. So you can see how I like that one. And we can do some modifications on that with the detune amount. Or the second level, the saw amount, that's the second level. And the other command is the detune level. So we've got nice oscillator there. Now, what else can we do? Well, we've got different oscillator types. So I'm going to turn off this oscillator, double tap to turn on oscillator 2. So I'm just looking at oscillator 2 now. And I can change that to a digital waveform. Press enter, and you can see all the digital waveforms that are in here, including the ones, the PPG waves from my own set, which I've imported in. So let's choose one of those. And then this control now allows us to step through that wavetable. And we've got some morphing on that as well. So that's nice and easy to control. We could go for a wave shaper. But I'm gonna leave it on the digital one for now. We've got a control here to control the oscillator pitches. I should mention as well, these text in blue mean it's just if you hold down the shift, you can do those. So I'm going to look at filters in a minute, but if we want to send oscillator to a different filter, you can see it's filter AB. So I just hold shift and turn that, which I'll show you in a sec. But that's quite a handy way of doubling up the front panels, because there is so many controls for this. So there's our oscillator 2. Let's go to oscillator 3. That's not selected. It's selected but not active. It's now active. That's off. That's up. So I've got another oscillator there. So going through the oscillators is pretty easy. There's not a huge amount on the pages on the oscillator, not on the classic one. On the digital, there's the morphing and pitch envelopes, things like that. It should be pitch envelopes on here. Yeah, there's your pitch envelopes. So there's not a huge amount to page through. Let's have a look at envelopes now. So envelopes, 4 envelopes have got their own dedicated button. We go to the filter, so the amp. Pretty easy to set those. If I do shift, there you've got the delay. So what the delay does, it just delays that envelope. It's quite a long delay. It'll kick in at some point. Let's make that slightly shorter. There you go. So I don't tend to use the delay option that much, but anyway, all those controls are there. So that's the amp envelope. Envelope's easier to control. When it comes to the filters, it's exactly the same. A bit more controls on it. So we've got 2 filters. We'll stick with filter 1 for now. Already selected. You don't have to do anything, and you've got the cut off there straight away. And resonance. I turn the filter down, and we can look here. Let's go back to filter. If I turn that filter down, I've got the filter envelope. And I've also got velocity control for that envelope as well. There are a couple of other pages as well on the filters. There's a few more. There's the noise balancing and audio sources. You've also got all the slopes and the key tracking, that kind of thing. And of course, you've got the filter type. The filter type has got its own button, so you can choose that's a MS-20 or a high pass or the Minimoog. Or you've got my favourite one, this one. So, and there's quite a few more of those. So if you've not got the dedicate button, you can just go through them and you can choose the filter you want from there. So let's stick with the let's go with the Minimoog one. Filter easy enough to do. Let's put the other oscillator back on. To mention as well that we've got a tune on there, so we can tune those oscillators. So as well as do the octave, let's just back in tune. So we could also we've also got the transposer. So we've got 2 filters. Easy enough to switch to the other filter. Everything currently is being routed to filter A, and they're in parallel, so the 2 filters are there at the same time. But you've got the shift option there, so that's in parallel. That's in serial. So I'm going to leave it in parallel. If we go to one of our oscillators, say oscillator 3, I'm going to turn off the other 2 for now. There's oscillator 3. Filter type, I'm going to change for filter B to a high pass so we can hear the difference. Nothing's using it at the moment. But if we go into the oscillator, and you'll see on one of the pages, instead of just shifting that, switches it to page. So now if I wanted to send that to the other filter, you can see we've got it down here on filter AB, so just shift and send that through. So I'm going to send that completely to filter B. It's that high pass. Of course, the other thing I do need to do is switch on the filter. Just double tap. Easy enough to set up another. Now I can turn the other oscillators back on. So really, really straightforward. Now, one of the great things about the multipoly is that you can use any output to be any input effectively. So that filter cutoff of maybe the prime filter A, maybe we want that control in some different ways. Now we've already got filter LFOs, so I can set that up. That's no problem. So I've just come back to an initial program now. I'm going to look at how we can just do some mod routing so you can set anything to anywhere else. It's a really powerful feature of this synth. So let's turn down that cutoff. Okay, and let's say I wanted to control it through here. It's pretty straightforward, really. we do mod and arrow. Now it's say select the target now, so move the target. So what do I want to mod? I want to mod the cutoff. So it wants a source. What do I want the source to be? I want it to be mod control 1. Now I've got the intensity, so quite a bit. So now I'm going to put that intensity quite high. So that's worked fine. So that's how you can have anything. It doesn't have to be the mod controls. It could be any of the other outputs. So let me show you. I can change it here. Source is currently in mod 1, but I can change it to be. You can see everything's on here. All the controllers are on here. The generators is where things get interesting. So I can have that filter being affected by pitch LFO, or I could be affected by a mod processor, or the step pulse, or a random value. So you can really set anything to go to anywhere. So really interesting way of being able to work with that. I'm going to change that for now though, and let's have that controlled by one of the controllers. We can use velocity, I suppose. We could use one of the chaos pads, so let's have the chaos pad. So for now, we'll switch to something else now. We're going to look at using the motion sequencer with it. So let's just go get a basic sound that I could use. So I'm going to let's go for a dual oscillator. That's it. And okay, that's something that will work nicely in the motion sequencer. So I got to want to use the motion sequencer, go to record, pick what I want to record. I want to record the pitch. Let's pick that. Okay, doesn't continue playing. Why not? Well, of course, the envelopes are just being triggered once by the keyboard, and then that's it. So what we actually need is, let's go to the amp envelope. Here we've got a trigger source, so I can choose the source to be, just like I did earlier on, I want the source to be one of the generators, and the generator can be the, let's go for the sequence pulse for now. And then for the filter, we also want the same thing. So choose generator. And we choose step pulse for now. Pretty straightforward. Now for the next lane, we might, well, we also want, I want to add some movement in, maybe with the resonance. So the next lane, I'm going to call sequence A. And now I'm going to adjust the resonance. It's quite subtle, but you can hear it. So maybe I need that length to be a bit longer actually for this lane. So let's start recording. There we go. I can adjust the values as well, so we can start off with it with a higher value. So here you can see now we can control all those individual amounts. We've got the value on there. So you can choose between those. I'm going to leave it as a continuous movement. And if I go back, you can see here go back here, sequence lane A. I can actually load in a preset one. Here I can change the length, how many times it repeats, whether it's using the shape lane. I'll put that on because we're going to look at the shape lane shortly. And you can see there the target. So I've got some other things I can go back. If I go press the sequence on the page on that one, here I can choose whether I use the sync notes or sync them all together or use the master. If I don't sync them, no, try and not sync them. You know, like that. If I sync them, I see the lights on there. I could have just done shift and sync. If I go to shift and sequence view, you can actually see all the steps on there. If I go to shift and pitch, yeah, I can adjust the pitch. So if I do shift and shape, I can go to the shape lane. So this is where you can have those shapes on each one of the steps, which is probably easy to visualize on the screen, but it's pretty straightforward. I want this step, this shape. There's the probability. It's on the all on at the moment, but you can choose the shape that you want from there. I'm going to go with one of the triple ones, I think, for now, or the double ones. That should do. Right. You won't hear anything with that, but I'll come back to that in a minute. So I'm going to do the ratcheting type thing now for sequencing. So there's something that's pretty sort of complex. See how easy I can do it through here. I'm going to use lane C. So I need to input the data, then I set some envelope, some lane shapes up, and that should work. So I've got to lane C now. I'm going to set this to only use 4 steps just to keep things short and concise for when I'm doing the editing. The value I want to be high, low, high, low. Okay, happy with that. I'm going to go to the amp, and where we had that set as step pulse, I'm going to change that to be sequence lane C. And for the filter envelope, I'm going to change that to be C. I can hear it's doing the other one now, every other now. So if I go back to there, and I want to use the shape lane. If I go back to my shape lane now, I only need 4 steps for this one as well. Oh no, let's be ambitious, let's go with 8. So step 1 is a double trigger, then we've got, and I want that to be the saw down, like that, so that the values spike. And I'm going to turn off the smoothing. So that's saw down, saw down. Let's go for a triple, saw down, saw down, saw down. Now, I think what we could do is go back to, let's see. Put these high. There, we've got it. Now, to make it more interesting, what we can do is, if I go back to the shape lane, so first shape, so this is that double trigger you're hearing. I'm going to make it fairly low probability, maybe 40%. I think I did another one, didn't I? There, I'll make that one a low probability as well. Ratchet type effect. So you see there, I've managed to get the probably the most complex, or one of the most complex you can do, setting up ratcheting in there. It's all available doing there. I've not set things like, you know, on advance or random orders or anything like that, but it's all available through there. So straight away, you know, I've managed to create a complex sequence without using the software at all. The other thing I've not got on is the Arpeggiator. Well, I can turn that on. I can latch it. I can change the resolution, and I can now start. And this is all on a single layer. And I can now go to the next layer and do exactly the same thing. So I could load in another layer now. Let's just turn off that Arpeggiator for now. So you can just load those layers all in, and I can write this back, this performance back, and save that when I'm done. So as you can see, there's really more or less everything you can do. Well, I haven't found anything yet that you can't do on the hardware. I find the combination of both is probably my optimal way for me working, but I know some people want to just do it on synth. And it's not a huge amount of menu diving. It's just remembering where everything is, really, and it doesn't take that long once you're used to it. You can do complex sequencing, and it's all really easy to do. So if you don't want to use a PC or a Mac with the editor, you can do everything on here. So I hope that answers the questions. If you've got any other questions about Multipoly, Modwave, Wavestate, let me know, and I'll try and do a video answering those. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.